Look, here's the thing most people get wrong about Blackfalds. They think it's just another suburb of Red Deer, a quiet little town with a few homes and not a lot going on. But look, that's not the story anymore. Blackfalds is growing super fast. You've got new neighborhoods popping up, you've got new schools, and the whole south end is starting to boom with a ton of new businesses. Families are moving here from all over Alberta and from out of province because they're actually starting to see what this little town has to offer. And look, it's not just about proximity to Red Deer anymore. It's about community, affordability, and the kind of lifestyle that's getting harder to find in the big city. So if you're watching this video because you're thinking about making a move, maybe from out of province, or you're just looking for something different, this next part is for you, because in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what it's like to live in Blackfalds, how the town is laid out, what's changed, what's coming, and why this is one of the fastest growing communities in central Alberta. People write off towns like Blackfalds, and when they come to visit, it is game over. So let me paint the picture for you. You're in a quiet town, but you're only 15 minutes away from Costco. You're 20 minutes away from Sylvan Lake, which is one of the most popular lakes in Alberta. You're only about an hour away from the Edmonton International Airport, and you're only a couple hours away from the mountains. You've got the peace and quiet of a smaller town without sacrificing any of the convenience. So Blackfalds is tucked just north of Red Deer. It's about a 10-minute drive from the city's north side. So you're literally only about 13 kilometers just up Highway 2A. So this makes it super convenient if you're commuting for work, maybe you're hitting up one of the big box stores, or you're headed into the city for date night. And since you're just north of Red Deer, which is literally the halfway point between Edmonton and Calgary, it makes day trips or weekend plans super easy. So whether that's catching a flight or maybe you're heading up to watch an Oilers game, because let's be honest, no one's making that trip to watch a Flames game, or maybe you're just making an IKEA run, there's solid options in every direction. And Lacombe is only about 15 minutes to the north if you want to hit up some of the restaurants or the coffee shops that Lacombe has to offer, maybe tour the historic downtown. It's got a totally different vibe than Blackfalds, but it's still super close when you need that change of pace. All right, before we talk about the lifestyle and amenities section in Blackfalds, I want to pull up Google Maps, just give you guys an idea of how Blackfalds is laid out and kind of where everything is located. All right, we have Blackfalds pulled up on Google Maps. Now, just to touch on location a little bit again, we're going to talk about this stuff a little bit later in the video as well. We're going to cover it again. You can see we have Blackfalds right here, and then it is not far at all into the northern border of Red Deer. So this is about 13 kilometers, I believe. So this is Highway 2A. You can see it runs all the way up, and this kind of splits Blackfalds in half. And then just like 15 minutes to the north, we have Lacombe up here. So this is just, again, a nice small little city with a ton of character, just giving you lots of options. Now, if we zoom back in on Blackfalds, again, you can see Highway 2A kind of cuts it right in half. So we have this east side of Blackfalds. This is generally going to be a little bit more quieter, in my opinion, compared to the west side of Blackfalds. Let me just get that off of there. Some things to be aware of on the west side is we do have Highway 2 running right here. So this is a busy highway in Alberta. So some of the neighborhoods on the west side of Blackfalds, you can see like this is all residential areas here. There is going to be like some of these houses right here. It's not far off of Highway 2. So there is going to be a slight hum of traffic in this area kind of all the time coming from Highway 2. Now, there is a ton of new construction going on in Blackfalds. There's lots of new construction going up on this north end. I do believe this is where the new school is going to go, but there's lots going on right here. And there's a lot of townhouses going up here. Now, we also have a lot of development taking place out on the east side as well as the south end. And to add to the south end, we have one of the knocks on Blackfalds, and we talk about this later in the video again, is that there isn't a lot of commercial and shopping and lots of different retail. So in this area right here, we have a ton of things going up. So we got Starbucks here, we have Save on Foods, there's a Shoppers Drug Mart, but I'm gonna pull up some drone footage right now and kind of walk you through what we just talked about. All right, so we have some drone footage pulled up of the south end of Blackfalds here. So this is that entire southern commercial complex that I was talking about. So again, we have, Dollarama, there's a Shoppers Drug Mart here, there's Save on Foods. Over here, we have Starbucks, there's some dentist office and, physiotherapist office in here. So there is a ton of new development taking place here. Now, if we just let this play through a little bit, this is Highway 2A, which is dividing Blackfalds into east and west. So this is the east side. Again, in my opinion, this is a little bit more quiet, feels a little bit more tucked away compared to this west side over here. Again, because we do have, the big highway like Highway 2, And we do have the train tracks running on this side of town. So here's a shot of the train tracks that are running just along the west side of Highway 2A. So again, I mean, every town has a train running through it. Blackfalds is a little bit busier than most towns. However, I wouldn't let it affect your decision on whether or not you should move here. And right here, we have the Eagle Builders Center. So this is an amazing newer complex. This is where the Blackfalds Bulldogs play. And this is also where the public library is. All right, here is a shot of the brand new high school that just opened up last year. This is the new Iron Ridge Public High School. So this is a beautiful high school. It's great that, that Blackfalds has this now because kids would have to be bused into Lacombe previous to this being built. Now, if we just kind of fast forward through this a little bit here, there's another school in behind here, but this is the Abbey Center. So this is an amazing rec center. We're going to talk about this a little bit later in the video, but it's got everything that you're going to need. This is a world-class rec facility. And there isn't a wicked little outdoor water park here. It's got some great water slides. There isn't many outdoor swimming pools in the area, so this is great. And then just over here, we have the Blackfalds Amphitheater, which I was shooting some footage, or I was recording the video today in this area. Now we are on the west side of town, and really there's no bad areas to live in Blackfalds. There's just some things to be aware of. So this is the west side. This is Highway 2. You can see it's a very busy highway. We have some houses right here. This isn't a very far distance, from Highway 2. So there is going to be a little bit of traffic come kind of back in this west side, because of the highway. There's a ton of new construction going on up here. But one advantage of living on this west side is you are so close to everything. So as you saw, we have the Abbey Center. We have a bunch of schools here. We have all the baseball diamonds. We have the off-leash dog park. And right outside, right out front of the Abbey Center, so the Abbey Center is just over here. This is the bike skills park. So this is 12 acres. This is an amazing bike park. Now let's kind of just hop over to the east side of town just so you guys can kind of see a little bit of a difference between the two. Okay, so I have the east side of Blackfalds pulled up. So this is the east side of Highway 2A, which is running right along here. So in my opinion, this does feel a little bit quieter, a little bit more tucked away. However, this isn't going to be as convenient as we talked about. So you're not going to be able to, well, you could walk to the Abbey Center and all these different places, but it's going to be a much farther walk. You'd probably rather ride your bike. So we have a school over here. But other than that, that is all the other schools are going to be on the other side of Highway 2A. So again, this is Highway 2A splitting Blackfalds into east and west. So now that you guys kind of have a layout of how Blackfalds is laid out, how many times can I say that in one sentence? Let's jump back into Blackfalds and talk about the lifestyle and the amenities. Now, one of the things that sets Blackfalds apart is just how young and family focused this town really is. You're gonna notice it right away. So there's parks everywhere and there's playgrounds that are actually fun. I'm talking about theme parks like the Pirate Playground by the Spray Park or the Dinosaur Park near the Abbey Center. Now I'll show you some quick B-roll, but these aren't your average swing and slide setups. They've actually made them really cool for the kids. And speaking of the Abbey Center, this place is unbelievable. It's one of the best rec centers in my opinion in Central Alberta. So you've got over 40,000 square feet of indoor recreation space. So that includes a 3-story indoor playground, a gym, a fitness center, an indoor running track, and a triple gymnasium field house. And in the summertime, there is a full-on outdoor water park outside with water slides and an amphitheater, which I am standing at right now. Now, the Trans-Canada Trail, which connects all 3 of Canada's coastlines, and it reaches every single province and territory, it actually runs through the Abbey Center. So this is the only portion of the trail that actually runs indoors. So this is kind of a fun and weird little fact that I think is pretty cool, and I thought you guys should know about it. And then right out front of the Abbey Center, you have the Bike Skills Park. So this place is amazing. It's a 12-acre setup. It's got a skate park right beside it. There's pump track, there's ladder bridges, there's jumps and trails. So if you or your kids are into biking, you're absolutely gonna love this. And for hockey fans, there is the Eagle Builder Center. So this is home of the Blackfalds Bulldogs. It is a full-size arena with 1,400 plus seats. It's got one of the biggest public libraries in Central Alberta. So this is all under one roof. And there is also a well-designed off-leash dog park with agility equipment. And it's got 2 separate zones, one for the big dogs and one for the smaller dogs. So if you do have dogs, this is a nice bonus to have it right here in town. Now, if you're a parent, you already know before you even look at the houses, you're already starting to look at schools. And Blackfalds has some really solid options with a lot more on the way. So one of the big wins for Blackfalds recently is the brand new public high school that just opened up last year in the fall. Now before that, the students had to bus into Lacombe once they hit grade 10. So having a local option right here in Blackfalds, it's a big deal for the families. Now for the younger grades, you're totally covered. You've got the Iron Ridge Elementary as well as the Iron Ridge Intermediate and the Iron Ridge Junior Campus. These are all part of the public school system. And if you're looking for the Catholic options, you've got kindergarten to grade 9 right here in Blackfalds. And there is a new school opening up, supposed to be in September or the fall of 2027. And that's going to be another Catholic school that's going to be elementary. So kindergarten to grade 5, I believe. But if your kids are going into high school, they are still going to be bused into Red Deer, unfortunately. So usually they're going to be bused into St. Joseph High School, which is going to be the closest one. That is on 67th Street in Red Deer. And then there is the Notre Dame Catholic High School down in the southeast section of Red Deer. So education is locked in, but what about the everyday stuff? That's where Blackfalds, in my opinion, used to fall a little bit short. Now, for a long time, one of the knocks on Blackfalds was kind of limited grocery and retail options. Sure, you had things like the IGA and you had your standard pharmacies and medical clinics, a lot of the standard stuff, but if you're looking for anything more than the basics, a trip into Red Deer was still going to be part of your weekly routine. Now, that is changing in a major way because the south end of Blackfalds is transforming into a full-blown commercial hub. You've got new stores popping up there, some bigger names like Save On Foods, which is one of my favorite grocery stores. You got Shoppers Drug Mart, and yes, there's even a Starbucks. It's not just Timmy's anymore. Now, it might not seem like a big deal if you're coming from a bigger city, but for people living in Blackfalds, having more options right here in town makes a big difference. And it's not just about convenience. This is a sign, in my opinion, of where Blackfalds is headed. So this town is growing super fast, and this new development on the south end is just one example of what's coming. Now, if all this new retail wasn't a clue, it was just how fast this town is growing. The housing boom definitely is. So let's talk about real estate. Now, if you've driven through Blackfalds lately, you've probably noticed it is definitely booming. So there is new construction everywhere, from detached homes to duplexes and a ton of townhouses. Now, I'm not talking about one or two new builds tucked in a corner. I mean, whole sections of new development are going up. Now, townhomes are flying off the shelf. We're seeing a ton of brand new builds hit the market, and they're priced right for buyers trying to get in the market without blowing their budget. And it's not just a feeling, the numbers back it up. So we're gonna use 2024 and 2023's numbers because we're only halfway through 2025. In 2024, Blackfalds handed out 469 building permits by the end of November. The year before, there was only 187. That is a massive jump, and the value of those permits shot up too. So again, in 2024, there was over 117 million worth of development compared to just under 17 million in 2023. So that is a full-blown building boom. And the majority of that growth is townhomes, multifamily units, new schools, and brand new community infrastructure. Now, if you're wondering what things actually cost, the most active price range in Blackfalds is between $300,000 and $400,000 now. You can find a decent detached home in that price range, although chances are it's probably not going to have a garage unless you are looking at a townhouse or a duplex. Now, if you bump that up to $400,000 to $500,000, you are in great shape. So you're looking at a nice detached home, not too old, a decent sized lot, and a garage, and that could be detached or attached. So yeah, if you've been waiting to make a move, Blackfalds is absolutely buzzing right now, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. Now, let's kind of talk about some potential cons of living in Blackfalds, because while there is a lot of things to love about Blackfalds, there are definitely a few things you're gonna want to keep in mind before you pack that U-Haul. So first up, let's talk about property taxes. So here's the deal. Property taxes in Blackfalds, they went up again in 2025. So council approved a 5% increase, and it definitely raised some eyebrows. Now, for a little bit of context, here's what that actually looks like. So if your home assessed at $500,000, your total property taxes for the entire year are gonna land at about $5,160. But here's where I try to give it some perspective. Now, when you look around at everything that this town has added, you have the Abbey Center, you have the new Bike Skills Park, you have the Eagle Builder Center with the Blackfalds Bulldogs Arena and the brand new public library. You got the brand new high school that just opened up. You have a new Catholic school opening up in 2027. It all kind of makes sense. Growth does come with a price tag. So are the taxes a bit high? Sure, but are you also getting a ton of value for your money? I'd say so. Now let's talk about the train in Blackfalds. It's definitely loud and it's fairly frequent, so this one catches a lot of people off guard. The train through Blackfalds, it runs often and the horn isn't shy. So if you're a light sleeper or you're not a fan of that constant background noise, this is definitely something you're going to want to keep in mind. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about this over the last couple of years in Blackfalds, and I believe there's been a couple of times where there's been a petition put forward for them not to blow the horn when they're passing through town. But number one, that's going to affect your property taxes. So they're going to go up because of all the safety infrastructure they're going to have to put in to make that even doable. And it's also a huge safety risk to implement something like that. Now, the reality is that every single town has a train running through it. It's just something to be aware of. Now, something else to consider if you are thinking about moving to Blackfalds is on the west side of town, there are certain areas and certain neighborhoods that are in close proximity to Highway 2, and this is a busy highway. It's the largest highway that runs north to south in Alberta. So depending on where you live on the west side, you are going to have that slight hum of highway traffic, especially in the evenings or when it's quiet out. So if that's a deal breaker for you, you might want to look at neighborhoods on the east side of town where it's generally a little bit quieter and just feels a little bit more tucked away. All right, let's move on to the next potential con of living in Blackfalds, and that's that it has limited shopping. For now. Now, we already talked about this already, but Blackfalds is making some serious moves when it comes to amenities. Now, that new commercial hub that we talked about on the south end, this is a game changer. But for things like clothing, shoes, or big box shopping, you're still heading into Red Deer. So this isn't a knock, it's just something that people need to be aware of. But for now, you've got all the essentials covered. So you have all your groceries, pharmacy, again, we have Starbucks and Timmy's. But if you're looking for a mall day or you need a bit of a deeper shop, it's still gonna be a bit of a drive. With that said, with all the new development happening, I wouldn't be surprised if this changes big time in the next year or two. Now let's talk about public transportation. So this is a small town. A lot of people think that there is going to be public transportation heading into Red Deer. There is not. So there is no buses or anything that go between Blackfalds and Red Deer. You do have the Bolt van, so the Blackfalds on-demand local transit. So this is a van that you can order up through an app, or you can give them a call, and they have certain hours that they run through the week, I believe, and they will take you into the north side of Red Deer. And from there, you can connect into the bus system in Red Deer and navigate through the rest of the city. And of course, we have things like taxis and Ubers, but that's going to add up pretty quick. So if you don't drive, you're definitely going to want to plan ahead. So here's the bottom line. Blackfalds, it is growing really fast. It's one of the fastest growing communities in central Alberta. You got new schools, you got growing neighborhoods, you got big name businesses moving in. This town's not just growing, it is evolving. So sure, the train's loud, the taxes can be on the higher side, and there's still room for some shopping options, but what you're getting in return, a newer home, a tight-knit community, a ton of value just minutes away from Red Deer, and Blackfalds is a place that people are starting to notice, and for good reason. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. If you would like any help making the move to Blackfalds or anywhere in the central Alberta area, use this info popping up on the screen. Get a hold of me any way you'd like. Would love to hear from you.